Back at the end of 2020, we dropped a video where I went through my recreational dive setup and the choices in equipment that I make for recreational diving. And a bunch of you jumped in the comment section and said, hey, can you make the same video for your technical diving setup? Well, this is that video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Divers Ready. My name's James. It is so great to see all of your smiling faces. I hope you're all doing really well. If you're new to our channel, make your next dive on our subscribe button and hit that little bell icon so you're notified every time we drop a new video. Because we make digital content on this channel with one simple goal in mind, and that's to help make you a better scuba diver. Right, that's that out of the way. Let's dive straight into the body of the content here. And before we get started, I want to say a couple of things. Number one, this is not a sponsored video by any company mentioned here today, although I do want to say a big thank you to Light and Motion, who sent me a stellar adapter kit, the 8000 kit, for the lights that I've already purchased so that I can use them in the studio. So if you notice that this shot looks a little bit better lit than it did before, that's all thanks to my friends at Light and Motion. But apart from that, none of the dive brands sponsored this video or anything that I'm about to name mention here when it comes to the brands. Also, I want to say, from a technical diving instructor point of view, there is more than one way to set up a technical dive configuration. What I'm going to run through is what works for me here in South Florida. And in my personal opinion, the minute a technical diving instructor tells you there is only one way to do something, and if you don't do it the way I do it, you're absolutely wrong and it's going to be devastating, that is the moment where you need to question whether that's really the right instructor for you, because there isn't just one way to do anything in technical diving. So as I go through here, bear in mind that the decisions and selections that I've made are the ones that work best for me and the style of diving that I do here in South Florida. There are, of course, other options. I'm not going to tell you that this is the best setup for everyone everywhere, because there is no such thing as the best setup for everyone everywhere. Right, that's that out of the way. Let's go through the setup. First of all, starting with the cylinders. These are not my usual cylinders. Usually here in South Florida, for the profiles we're hitting in the sort of 120 to 170 range, I use a set of manifolded double AL80 cylinders. Both my sets of AL80s are actually at the shop getting filled right now. So for the purpose of making this video, I pulled out a set of high pressure 100s from Faber that I had lying around here. These are not my usual cylinders. I might use these for slightly deeper diving when I need to carry more gas, but I generally find that a double set of AL80s serves me very well for the sort of 90 to 100 minute run times where I'm normally diving in that 120 to 170 foot range, and it gives me ample gas and of course recommended gas reserves. So that's that. Moving down then, the wing you'll notice is from Apex. It's the WTX D60R. D for donut, R for redundant. You'll notice that there are two inflator hoses here. This has two separate 60-pound bladders encased in the Dura nylon wing housing itself. Yes, redundant bladder wing. That is how I prefer to dive. Everyone in the technical diving community agrees that if you're going to do a dive beyond no decompression limits, you absolutely need redundant buoyancy. Not all of us agree on what that redundant buoyancy should be present in. I generally prefer redundant bladder wings because I know I've got a complete set already ready to go, that if I had a negative buoyant incident, I can switch over and just start using my alternate LPI and alternate pressure inflator to control my buoyancy. I don't have to faff around with my dry suit. I don't have to faff around with my lift bag. Lift bags generally work very well here in South Florida too, because we're normally setting our gas for our maximum depth, and the maximum depth is the sand. So if we have a negative buoyant event and we sink like a stone, we hit the sand, our gas is still suitable. We have all the time in the world to deploy our lift bag. If you're in 10,000 feet of water in Bonaire or Cayman Islands or something like that, that's not a great option. And then in addition to that, I'm not a big fan of using a dry suit as an inflation tool. Number one, because when you're first taught how to use a dry suit, they always tell you you should have the minimum amount of gas in there possible, just enough to prevent suit squeeze. So why would I put any more in? And number two, you're taking a product that is designed by manufacturers for warmth and using it for a different purpose. You're taking a thermal insulating device and now using it as a buoyancy control device. The other problem with dry suits is they come with 3 holes in them, one for your head and one for each wrist. So already there's a little bit of a problem. Again, I'm sure this is going to be inflammatory in the comment section, and people are going to go off on a tangent about failure points. Oh, you're adding another inflator hose, failure points, failure points. Yeah, there are more failure points on this, and I manage that risk, as we do with any failure point in scuba diving, by doing preventative maintenance. So I take care of my K inflators, I change out my inflator hoses on a regular basis, and I make sure that the chance of having an auto inflate incident is absolutely minimized. So there we go. That's my choice for wing. Next up, my back mounted regulators are also Apex. They're the Tech 3. A lot of people in the comments are going to be saying, oh, he's an Apex fanboy, he's got all the Apexes, this is a sponsored video by Apex. Not the case at all. Let me tell you why I've got so much Apex gear. When we were setting up our instructional brand, Miami Technical Diving, I happened to be working for an Aqualung Apex retailer, and I became good friends with our local Aqualung sales rep, and he did me a key man deal to get all the equipment I need to set up Miami Technical Diving, and that happened to be Apex. Do I think Apex is good quality? Absolutely. Do I think it's the best out there? I don't think there is such a thing. Do I think that this setup is right for everybody? No, absolutely not, as I said in my introduction. So this happens to work for me. I got a great deal on the price. That's why you're going to see a lot of Apex gear. It's not a case of it's the only brand for me or I absolutely love it. I do think these regs breathe very, very well. I do think the XTX 50 second stages that you get with the Tech 3 setup breathe as well as any second stage I've ever used. And I also like the design of the Tech 3s that come in a box together for back mounted doubles, where you get a mirrored pair and all the hose routing is pointed down, so you don't have to angle your regulators or have a rotating turret or add a 5th port or anything like that. Straight out of the box, these are optimized for hose routing. So I do like them, they breathe incredibly well, and I've been using them for years now without incident. All right, let's talk about backplate and harness then. You're gonna notice there's the big A, there's the Apex on the harness. This is basically a Hogarthian-esque harness. It's pretty basic. It's a single piece of 2-inch webbing that runs all the way through the backplate. The backplate is stainless steel and it forms obviously the waist belt, and then you've got the crotch strap down below, and that's bought as a continuous set from Apex. Now again, I got a great deal when I was setting up Miami Technical Diving on Apex. Generally, for my students, I don't recommend you buy any branded backplate or harness, because this is just a bent piece of stainless steel, and this is just about 12 feet of 2-inch webbing, both of which you can buy from an off-brand shop that's going to cost you considerably less because it doesn't have some fancy scuba diving manufacturer's logo on it. And you can buy all the hardware, all the D-rings, straight D-rings, bent D-rings, and all the sliders and all the other gear over the counter a la carte, and it's going to cost you considerably less. I think the backplate here is 140 bucks and the harness setup is $95. So that's like 230 bucks. Webbing is about $1.20 a foot. Why buy the logo? Next up, fin choices. Obviously for technical diving, we generally prefer shorter, stiffer fins because we have to propel a large mass through the water. It is a very common oversight that people just buy one set of fins and then try and do all their technical dives with it. I have 4 different pairs in different sizes and different styles, predominantly Scuba Pro Jet fins and Apex RK3s. And the reason I have a bunch of different fins, and I think we've covered this in another video, is because you need to match your fins with both your thermal insulating gear that you're wearing and the material type of your cylinders, whether that be aluminium or steel. So I'm picking fins for each dive based on whether I'm in my 3mm or my 5mm, or if I'm in my AL80s or my HP 100s or my HP 117s, and making sure that I'm picking the right fin for the dive I'm currently doing. Okay, so that's those. Now we're gonna dig into my accessory box, which I already showed you guys how to set up with a bungee with all these bolt snaps on it. Let's go through masks first. Come over here. This is actually my primary mask right now, which is an Atomics Ultra Clear, which isn't actually ultra clear right now. Could use a bit of a clean, not gonna lie. But no, I really like the glass that Atomics use in their masks. Ultra clear is not a misnomer. They really have nice crystal clear masks, and also I tend to find that these fit my big fat wide head So big fan of those. I also carry, of course, a backup mask. I wear contact lenses when I scuba dive, so I can't see anything if I don't have a mask on. And that's the Apex VX1. Again, thank you to my local sales rep for hooking me up with these. What else we got in the box? DSMBs, I don't get too fancy with these. I don't buy a sort of scuba brand or anything like that. This one here I think is Innovative Scuba Concepts. This one is Dive Alert. Both of them are 6 feet minimum because we often dive in 3 or 4 foot swells. So if you've only got a 5 foot SMB, the boat's barely going to see it above the wave height. So 6 feet minimum, 10 feet if I'm out in rough trop. If I was doing North Atlantic diving, then I would have a much bigger bag with me. So that's those two. What else? Let's talk about lights. Obviously, recently reviewed. The Solar Dive Pro has firmly become my primary light of choice for wreck diving here in South Florida. Again, not sponsored, but big fan of this light. Nice and bright, just a strong, powerful spotlight. No muss, no fuss. Really works well for the type of diving that we do here in South Florida. My backup light is the Dive-Right CX2. It's brand new on the market, really elegant body design. It has the LED battery indicator on it, a bunch of different settings. You've got the strobe setting and all that good stuff. Everything you want from a backup light. Honestly, powerful enough to be a primary light too, and then that's just on a bolt snap and secured on my left shoulder D-ring. So that's my backup. What else we got in here? Cutting tools. So I am a big fan of just using a flat bladed, sheathed, single piece, can't rust, titanium cutting tool. This happens to be a Dive Gear Express. I think it's like 30 bucks, something like that. And I wear that on my right hip so that I can route my long hose underneath it. I think I've already got one on my harness there. I also have a John line from Dive-Right. Dive-Right, if you're watching this, your John line for big guys could be maybe about a foot or two longer, just saying. Often I find I've got my John line fully deployed and I'm still in the fins of a bunch of other people. So I wouldn't mind if that was a touch longer, but it's just nice that it comes in a pouch and it's compact and I can put it in my tech short pockets. Onto my reels, also Dive-Right. We have a Dive-Right 120 foot spool, which I carry on most dives. I use that for line laying. I can use that for DSMB deployment, whole bunch of different uses for that. And then my big boy reel here, if I need to launch an SMB from depth or lay line inside a wreck extensively, is one of the Sidelock series. And I think there's like 400 foot of line on there at the moment. Haven't counted recently. And again, guys, as always, all the products I mentioned here will be linked in the video description below. Yes, those are affiliate links, and purchases made through those links may earn me a small commission at no additional cost to you. And I thank you for supporting our channel. I normally, when I do a technical dive, have a GoPro Hero 9 with me, just for capturing additional shots. A very simple bolt snap arrangement, clips off onto me, keeps it nice and tidy out of the way when it's not in use. But I am a big fan of doing video feedback for my students, so I often whip that out, take a couple of video shots just so I can show them what they look like in the water. All right, what else we got in the box? Lift bag. This is a DuraDive branded lift bag. It's 100 pounds. It's plenty for anything I'd need for either demonstrating redundant buoyancy in the event that my students don't buy a redundant bladder wing, or for when we go out and we take one of these crates down with us and we load it up with lead that have fallen off the back of recreational dive boats and we bring it up to the surface. But in any case, always have the lift bag in the thigh pocket of my tech shorts. Tech shorts, I don't have any here to show you right now because I just threw mine out and I'm actually shopping for a new pair. I've been using the Apex ones, but I tend to go through them on a yearly basis and they are not cheap. So I want to switch it up this time, maybe try the Fourth Element ones. If any of you guys have experience with brands of tech shorts other than the Apex ones, let me know in the comments below because I want to try something fresh and new because it's expensive. I'm just going through them and the pockets wear out and just chuck them in the bin and it's a little bit wasteful. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. I appreciate your suggestions as much as you guys appreciate mine. And then last but not least, of course, dive computers. Yeah, you know it. There's no surprises here. My primary dive computer is still the Shearwater Perdix. Non-AI, I don't use transmitters for tech. But yeah, it's a classic. It's a favorite. One day I will get around to making the video as to why the Shearwater Perdix is the greatest dive computer that's ever been made. And then to back that up, I have the Garmin Descent Mark II-i, which I did the tech review of recently. If you didn't see that, I'll put a link just up above there. But yeah, I normally switch this over to my right wrist on top of my wetsuit with the extender strap that they provide when you get the Garmin Descent Mark II-i. And then I have my Perdix on my left wrist as my primary device. And that's about it, guys. That's pretty much my dive setup for technical dives, head to toe. If you guys come and do a technical diving course with me, you can also be refreshed to know that you would be in an identical setup, because I bought 2 sets of everything to make sure that my students are identical to my selections. And I did that so that I have familiarity with their configuration, and because these are the things I chose for myself, I don't want to pick a lesser quality or value gear for my students. I want to make sure that they're in the best gear available. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this viewer requested video. Sorry it took me so long to get out, but you know, I've been busy. What can I say? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Give this video the thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to leave me a comment below if you've got a recommendation for me on a brand of tech shorts that I can try out. Because yeah, I'm shopping around. Or let me know what you think of my picks and my consideration. Not that any comment is going to change my decisions, because I've been very happy and very successful diving this setup, and I enjoy it greatly. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, my name's James. This was your Divers Ready video for this Monday. From Divers Ready, dive safe, dive often.